Cuppa Tea with the vet. Jenny, oh my God, I've just realised what my cup says. My name is. I'm not sharing. I've had this cup since I was actually a teenager. Your cup's much better. Yeah, don't forget to be amazing.
Cup, you see. So this is
well done.
We don't get our drinks muddled up at the moment.
And named. Brilliant. So, thank you for joining us. We are here today with Jenny from Active Vet Care, the Bracken Veterinary Center. So, she is head vet of the practice in Bracknell. Jenny, introduce yourself.
Hello. So I'm Jenny, as Donna says. I'm the head vet here at the Bracknell branch of Active Vet Care. I've been graduated for a few years, I think since 2004, which I think is just the other week, really. And I've been working for Active Vet Care ever since as a vet. So I've done almost 16 years for Active Vet Care at various sites. I've got an interest in feline medicine. I'm an advanced practitioner in feline medicine and also in chronic pain, which is how me and Donna came to sort of get to know each other a little bit better, really.
Absolutely. And I have to say, that is one of my little things I do love about Jenny. We qualified pretty much the same time, which is hilarious. Me as a vet nurse back then, did physio later, but it's been really nice having nostalgic conversations of what it was like back then.
How the profession used to be.
How things evolved. So we want to have more of a chat about getting to know you, enjoying some of Jenny, and just saying hello, finding out more about you. So I've got some cool questions. What do you like to do in your spare time? Oh no, did we lose you?
I'm still there. I've still got you.
Yes, we're there. We're back.
Brilliant. I've got quite a few hobbies. So I have a retired racehorse who I compete at dressage. So he takes up quite a lot of my time. I also enjoy gardening. So I like growing my own vegetables, particularly. Useful at the moment as well. And I enjoy photography.
Amazing. That's so cool. And of course, cute horse. That's lovely. So, what made you decide to become a vet then?
So there's a bit of a story behind this one. When I was in junior school, my best friend, who I hope hasn't tuned in, so I'm going to blame her, and me decided between us that we were either going to be vets or jockeys. So that was our very definite, and we shook hands on it. And
very different.
A bit too fat to be a jockey. I do own an ex-racehorse though, so I've sort of done that bit too. So I followed down the being a vet path. My friend works in IT.
Whoa.
Yeah, she didn't go down the vet path, but that was decided. That's what we were going to do, and I never swayed from it from that point onwards.
Well done. So did your friend end up on horses at all?
Or did
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
She's got a few horses, so yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Otherwise, you'd have just stolen all of it, and you've basically gone like, no, I'm having all of those things in my life, and you're having none. That's amazing. So yeah, that's great. I always think it's so lovely when people are able to make a decision on something, even if it's not entirely 100%, but then end up going down that road that they love. Passion for your career choice is just insane, and to know that it's always been entirely grounded in animals is just wonderful. So yeah, well done you. So what else do you want to know? What is your favorite snack? Are you healthy? Oh, we've got another delay there. I think we've got bad internet. Sorry about that. Jenny, are you back again yet?
The snack is probably chocolate. Have you got me back?
Yes, you're back now. Yeah.
I was confessing that really cake, probably, of the chocolate variety, is my favourite snack.
Amazing. Well, I've got no idea whether you did say anything healthy there at all, because all we got was cake, chocolate variety.
Cake.
Perfect. I mean, that's absolutely fair enough. We were wanting to know whether or not you were avidly healthy all the time, but no, I think that is absolutely fair enough. So what pets have you got? Have you got anything other than just your horses or your horsey?
Not healthy. I've got 2 cats as well. I've got 2 cats and some fish.
Oh, lovely. And what are your names of your cats?
Pippin, who is a very naughty British Shorthair, and the rather ridiculously named Gavroche.
Amazing. Well, that is impressive names, to be honest. I feel like Pippin's got to come from a book or something,
He's
hasn't
from
it?
Lord of the Rings, one of the hobbits. And Gavroche came with his name. That's my excuse.
That's fair enough. That is fair enough. So we have got a question in already. So are cats or dogs coping? Are cats or dogs better at coping with illness? So which ones do you think is better at coping with illnesses?
I think it's a bit difficult. I think cats tend to hide the signs of illness for quite a long time. And they often don't show it as readily as dogs do. So it's easy to think that they cope with it better. But I think they maybe just don't always show the same signs that we recognise in dogs, particularly for things like lamenesses. They often just do less, and my cats don't do much most days anyway. So I think I would say they're fairly equal in how well they cope, but they show it in very different ways. And I think as owners, we are better at recognising illness in dogs than we are in cats on the whole. I include myself in that.
Well done. I think that's a very good answer and very good point. I also want to say Anna has said, glad fish got a mention. So thanks, Anna, for saying that. And yep, well done on that. I will go back to those fish. Hello, Donna and Jenny from Claire as well, which is lovely. Oh, and my mum's even popped in and said, hello, Donna. Is Jenny a specialist vet or a general vet? Are you a GP or a specialist, Jenny?
I'm very much a GP and very proud of it. I do have further qualifications, so I'm an advanced practitioner in feline medicine, which is sort of halfway between being a general practitioner and a specialist. But I am very much a general practitioner, and it's very much where I want to stay.
Exactly. It's, well, we need you. We need GPs. We need GPs. That's where you start. Well done. So I'm going to weigh in with another question here. What about being a vet grosses you out still? Because there's got to be something that still grosses you out. For mine, it's eyeballs hanging out. I'm really sorry, but that and chunky pus are my two that are like, ugh. So what still grosses you out?
Broken toenails. It's my thing. I hate them. They make me go all queasy. Whenever anyone brings a dog in, particularly with a broken nail, I have to take them out the back for the nurses because I'm like, oh, I can't touch it myself. Sorry.
So there you go, everybody. If you go in and see Jenny and you've got a broken toenail and she goes and says, you know why. She actually needs a vomit bucket as well. So fair enough. We all have those weaknesses. So there we go. Oh, Claire also says hello from Elwood, of course, as well. So that is fair enough. So another question from me. What would your dream achievement be if time was no object?
Oh, you know this one, Donna. So I want to set up a chronic pain clinic. I think it's something that it's an area of quite a lot of development in the veterinary field and the human field. And I would really love to have the time and mental energy to set up a pain clinic where we can do so much more than just a 15-minute consultation where people come in and I normally would just prescribe some medications. And if they're lucky, refer them to lovely Donna for some physio. But to get a much more holistic approach where me and Donna could be managing cases together and really looking at all aspects of it, I think would be absolutely fabulous. So fingers crossed.
I will add that was not a plug. I am beyond excited about Jenny saying all that because when I asked her to do this interview with me, I had no idea that she felt like that. And when she said that to me, I was like, oh my God, Jenny, I'm so excited because that just floats my boat beyond all recognition because arthritis and chronic pain are both my absolute specialist subjects as well. Makes me so like, oh, it's so important to deal with chronic pain. It's incredible. And oh, it's a huge thing. So yes, well done, Jenny. And I can't wait to work with you on that one.
So fingers crossed, when all the restrictions get lifted, we shall look at it further.
Oh my God, yes. It's going to be so awesome. It's very exciting. Makes me want to cry. It's amazing. So going back to the questions from our audience. So there is a fairly prominent backlash against vaccinations at the moment. What are your thoughts on this?
That's a really good question. I think an important one to bring up. I, as a sort of a person, am relatively pro-vaccination. I've always vaccinated my own animals. Having said that, I started to understand it a little bit more when I had children and when I had to take my children for their vaccines. And that level of sort of nervousness about, am I doing the right thing? Should I be thinking twice about it? Gave me a sort of a bit more empathy, I think, with pet owners who were worried about it. We've always been very careful to try and use vaccines here that have the longest duration studies, so that we're not giving every component every year. So I think that is important, that we're trying to do the best we can. And I'm very happy to talk to owners who are worried about things like titer testing and alternatives, because certainly titer testing to see if the vaccine needs to be given or not for some components is really important. I do think, though, that we do need to realise that the vaccines that have been given are preventing us from seeing some of the really horrible life-threatening diseases, particularly like parvovirus, that I have seen quite a few cases of, unfortunately, over my career. And also the other diseases that I've been lucky enough not to see many of, things like distemper, have been almost totally eradicated by vaccine. They still exist in pockets, but we just don't see them. And the worry is, if we're not vaccinating, these diseases could creep back up. And I think the current coronavirus is a bit of a stark reminder about what living in a world without vaccinations could be like. I think the other thing which makes me a bit more pro-vaccinations is I'm old enough and have been in the profession long enough to remember a lot of cats getting feline leukemia virus before we were doing the vaccine that regularly, and seeing sort of 12, 18-month-old cats with untreatable cancers was really, really horrible. And we just don't see those anymore since we've been vaccinating such a proportion. So I am pro-vaccination personally, but I always think I'm very open to talking to people who are worried about vaccines, about what the alternatives are and what the benefits are. And looking at it's a bit like the chronic pain clinics. It's looking at their individual animal and producing recommendation for that animal, not just for every dog that I see, because they're not all the same. They don't all have the same risk factors. So I think it's important to bear that in mind.
I think that's a really well answered there, Jenny. And you've touched exactly from a human mum point of view. I'm a mum too, and I understand completely that we're bombarded with so much information these days, and it becomes really quite difficult to sort of see the wood through the trees, as it were. And so it's really, it's a great way of looking at it, is taking it all step by step, individual, one at a time, and see where we go. And I myself, when I used to work in the emergency as an emergency nurse, I've seen parvo, and it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. And I have seen a distemper case as well. So that was also pretty shocking, because I've only seen one over my entire time. And it was like, oh my, wow, that, you just don't expect it these days. So yeah, pretty scary stuff. So well done, well answered. My mum's also weighed in to say, cool, that was about the GP vet thing. And we've got Chrissy, who has said, hello from Alaska and Aurora. And actually, this is a really good question. It's really sad, and obviously not something we all like to talk about, but I think people need to be reassured. What happens in the current circumstances if a PTS is required? So that's a put to sleep, a euthanasia.
So at the moment, the setup we're running is we're doing as many of our consultations as we can over the phone to try and obviously limit people coming out if they don't need to. Obviously, for euthanasias, that's not going to be possible, and we do still have clinical teams on site who are able to perform euthanasias. And what we do in the situation is we do a risk assessment, because obviously there's a difference if the owners are symptomatic for coronavirus or if they're high risk and have been told to self-isolate. But we are still performing euthanasias, and we've got a variety of ways we're doing it to try and still allow at least one owner to be with the animal if they want to be. So that might be using a very long drip line into a little cannula in their leg, so they can be either in their car and we can be stood outside the car, or they can be in one of our rooms with us the other side of a door, and then we can disinfect the room afterwards. But what I would suggest is, if anyone's, obviously the government advice is changing on a daily basis about what we are and aren't allowed to do, but one thing I know is we will always be here for people who need us for urgent and end of life things. We will be here, and we will be at the end of the phone, and we will be in the practices still.
Well done, well done. I think that's very reassuring. Thank you. So let's go a bit more upbeat again.
Oh, yeah.
So if you could be amazing at any sport, what would it be? I think I'm going to guess what it is, but what sport would you pick?
On this one, I'd actually like to be very good at distance running.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I've run a marathon once, and I was incredibly slow and came in just before the time limit, to be honest. But I did get round. But I would love to actually be any good and slightly faster than I am. I don't think I'll ever run another one, but that would be my dream, would be running.
How amazing! So come on, how long did you take? Because I've also done one marathon, only one. I can't see you doing it again, but I'm glad I ticked that box in life to say that I've done it. So how long was yours?
I was 5 hours 30 odd. But
No,
my defense,
you
I had
can't have been that.
What were you?
I was 5 hours 30. You can't run the same amount of time as me. That's too weird.
Bang on, I think I was 5:32 or something like that.
That's ridiculous. Mine was 5:30. Exactly. I feel like there's proof there that basically if you're veterinary, your marathons will be 5 hours 30. Statistically speaking, it's a profession thing now.
Yes.
How freaky is that? Wow. God, that's thrown me now completely. Right, so I'm just going to go back to the audience. We have got Wendy says, what does Jenny think of pets for therapy?
The pet dogs. I think they're brilliant. So I've done a few pet dog assessments, including one of my ex-colleagues' dogs, a little Cavalier who she uses as a pets for therapy dog. I think they play such a good role in improving people's quality of life and just cheering people up. I think it's fabulous. If I had a suitable pet, not a cat that wanted to kill everyone it didn't know, I would definitely be interested. But no, I think they're really good.
They are brilliant, aren't they? They are brilliant. I couldn't agree more. So we've also got Kerry says hello from Maddie and a kiss.
Hi, Maddie.
Anita says we need more. There need to be more vets like this lady. So that's a very kind thing to say. You've got a fan there. And I need to. Oh, that one's. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Sorry, I need to wait for more people to give things so it scrolls up the screen so I can read it out. Meanwhile, if you could do an Facebook Live with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh, that's a really good question. Oh, that's very difficult. Can I have two different answers?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Thank you. So, a vet called Tony Kay, who I used to work for before I went to vet school. So I started working there when I was 14, and I worked there all till I went to university. Did a year there before in my gap year, and then went and saw practice with him. And he taught me pretty much everything I know about how to talk to clients. He didn't teach me very much about clinical stuff necessarily, but he taught me how to be empathetic and how to have that attitude that it genuinely is that clients are never difficult or awkward. They're just worried and they really care about their animals. And he had such a big impression. And I probably should phone him and tell him, but he's moved to Australia now, so it's a bit harder. But I'd love to sort of have a chat with him about the inspiration he's been to my career, I guess. That'd be really interesting. And then the other person on a more personal level is my granddad, who's my dad's dad, who died when I was quite young, when I was in primary school. And he was really inspirational in that he did loads of things. He was a scholar at Cambridge University, played loads of musical instruments, and he instilled in me a love of sort of science and being questioning. And he used to take me to the farmers markets and teach me cow breeds. Not very useful if you're a small animal vet, but I guess I'd like to just check in with him about what I've done with my life, really, because he was my one grandparent who died quite young, and so never really got to update with him with what I was doing. So they would be my two.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, one, I will say the globe is much smaller with Facebook now, so you can definitely message someone in Australia. And I think that would probably make him feel pretty good to know that. Yeah. That was a really nice thing to say. And I could not agree more that client care is so important because, if, they just want to know that you care, and everyone wants to know you care, and then it's okay to cry and all those things that you all just want to do. So, that's fabulous. And yeah, checking in with a grandparent. I remember my granddad before he died, and he was with me up until I was nearly 20. He saw me sort of develop. And it's amazing how much influence your grandparents can have on you, and all those little speeches they've made at birthday parties and things like that. And so, it's quite an amazing thing. So yeah, I can well understand that. So yeah, great answer. So Donna says hello from her.
Hello, Donna.
There you go. And I've got another question here. Sorry if this question has already been asked. Nope, probably not. I was joined a few minutes late. How best can physios help vets help their owners, especially at the moment?
Ooh.
Does that make sense? Or do you want me to ask it again?
Ask it again, but I think I got the gist of it.
How best can physios help vets help owners, especially at the moment?
It's difficult at the moment, isn't it? Because I think that physios are such a hands-on job that it's very limiting with the current restrictions. You have to be finding it really hard, Donna. But I think it's that working together as a team. I always think the best way to use anything like this is to be a team. So the vet, the physio, and the owner all working together and feeding back to each other. And what I found really helpful with cases that Donna's seen for me is that sometimes Donna will just give me a quick message or an email just saying, oh, I saw Fluffy last night and just wasn't quite happy about this. So it's that extra pair of eyes, but just that working together really well as a team. And I think the current situation is really difficult because it's limiting people doing exercise regimes for their dogs because they can't do lots of short walks a day. So I think it's kind of a little bit now we've got to get through it and then come out the other side. And I think that's when we're going to have to really work together to put back together some of the creaky old dogs and cats and get them back functioning again when we come out the other side.
Definitely. I think one of the things I did today was I emailed all the vets that refer to me and just touched in and say, just remember, I'm still here at the end of the phone. If you've got any questions, if you've got any cases where they're worrying you, but you're also limited at the end of what you can do, you've given your pain relief, give them my phone number and they can ring me and I can try and give them some exercise ideas on the phone, even some more, suggestions of getting them regularly moving around the house, all those sorts of things. So like you say, it's about teamwork, and just for me it was just reminding the vets that we're still here and able to help. But yes, we can't put our hands on, but we can still try and do video conferencing and stuff like that. So
you can still be very supportive to the owners as well, and just reassuring them that we're going to come out of this and there's going to be things we can do. And like you say, sometimes really little things like potentially stretches and things can make a difference. And it's not forgetting those and not just going, well, we can't do anything because we can't leave the house. So I definitely agree.
Exactly. We have to be positive. Be positive. So Donna says, Jenny, what is the time tolerance for a dog requiring its annual booster shortly?
Good question. So currently we are very happy with them going 2 or 3 months past their due date if it's just an annual vaccination, and that doesn't bother us at all. And we would think we can just still give one booster and get away with it. The most time-sensitive component is usually the leptospirosis component. The distemper, hepatitis, and parvo, most brands last for 3 years anyway, and you can go a little bit over the 3 years. The vaccine company we use are doing a little bit of work at the moment, and we're talking to them to see if we can go a little bit further than the 2 to 3 months, as if this lockdown goes on further. But for now, we are telling most people if they're due now, they can at least wait for 2 months and not be worried about it. But again, I would say if you're in that situation, your vets should be there on the end of the phone and they can do an individual risk-based analysis, because there are potentially still going to be some dogs, particularly young puppies, that we might decide to vaccinate. We might decide it's too risky not to. And we're there to help make that decision with you. And I think we have to bear in mind there the risk to the puppy or the kitten or the adult dog or cat, and the greater risk to society of people coming out and not staying at home, because there are still quite a few people coming through our practice, and we just want to try and keep as many of our clients safe as possible. And hopefully we can get the vaccines going again once this situation has settled down. But I would just encourage everyone just to phone, particularly if you're pushing that 2 months overdue mark.
Excellent. So another vaccine question. Kerry asks, how concerned spit my words out. How concerned should bunny owners be about any due VHD2 vaccinations? And is VHD2 still a big problem?
So it's a problem potentially in some pockets of the area. So I would encourage anybody who's got a rabbit who is due to phone their vets. We certainly saw quite a few VHD cases here about a year ago. Touchwood, haven't seen as many recently, but actually the rabbits are the ones that I think are the highest risk if we're not vaccinating compared to cats or dogs. And we know the VHD vaccine doesn't have a very long duration of immunity. So we would still be looking to talk to people, particularly if they're outdoor rabbits, about if we think it is sensible, actually, we maybe should be vaccinating these rabbits. And we've got a whole load of protocols in place in terms of how we can minimise risk to our staff, but also to the clients for animals that do need to come in.
Well done. So Anna wants to know, she says, Monty and Percy want to know, do your cats wash your fish?
Yes, they do, Anna. They particularly like the fish tank you very kindly set me up with. Gavroche is less interested. Pippin spends hours watching the fish. I mean, he's not the brightest cat. He just sits there.
Cute. So another question here. What about flea and worm treatment?
So we are still dispensing flea and worm treatment for people who need it. I think particularly worming treatment's really important at the moment because lungworm is still definitely a problem in this area. And roundworms, particularly dog roundworms, do have a public health risk, so they can spread to children. So we still think that it is sensible for us to be dispensing them. So what we're getting clients to do is to call up, we're getting them all ready, they phone us when they're here, and we do a sort of flea and worm drop on the wall outside so we can maintain social distancing. We are trying to look into whether we can get some courier deliveries of flea and wormers going, but we don't want to put the price up too much. So at the moment, we're talking to each person about whether they're due, and if they are due, we're definitely still, we've been dispensing loads today. So
Well done. Well done. It's all rolling in now. Nikki says, is it the same for cats? And Bluebell says hi.
Yeah, loosely very similar for cats as well at the moment. So
well
just taking an individual basis. And hello, Bluebell.
Donna says, brilliant, and thank you so much. And Anna says, guessed it would be Pippin.
Yeah, she knows my cats.
Oh, amazing. So, another off the wall question. What is your most often cooked meal at home? Are you a pot noodle person?
I'm a pizza person, actually. Healthy, but homemade pizza in my defence. So we have got a really knackered old pizza oven in our garden, and in the summer we do really enjoy homemade pizza with vegetables from the garden on it. So that's my sort of nod to being healthy.
Oh, that's nice. I think that's brilliant, especially if you're growing them. I mean, that's extra points there. That's amazing. So well done. So tell us something that people may not know about you.
Well, I've given you the marathon fact already, haven't I?
Yeah.
So my other one, which I got asked this on a course I went on recently, and the best thing I could come up with while I'm put on the spot to introduce myself was that I used to be, more so now, but I'm quite a keen rock climber. I've done a lot of rock climbing.
Wow.
I'm actually terrified of heights.
That's amazing. So hang on though, because I like rock climbing, but I'm much more fan of bouldering because you don't go as high then, and you haven't got ropes and stuff. Do you prefer bouldering, or are you really like you're going to go for the rocks no matter what you're scared of?
I was a big fan of sort of long mountain climbs, so multi-pitch, high up. I just couldn't look down.
That's amazing, and well done getting over your fear and achieving something like that. I mean, that's really very impressive. I'm so impressed. That's just incredible. You're gonna have to come to gymnastics for me now.
No way.
What is the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
That's a really good question. I'm like the world's least spontaneous person, but probably buying my horse was fairly spontaneous. So I'd been semi-looking, and I wanted a bay warm blood dressage horse, and I ended up with a ginger ex-race horse who I bought for £1, having failed a vetting, and I just really liked him, so I just said, why not?
Good for you. I think that's amazing. That's basically rescue. Good for you. That £1. I didn't.
£1. They delivered him, and he came with a full wardrobe and tack. He was mega.
That's incredible. Wow. Well, there you go. That's insane. Right. So Kerry says thank you. So here's a big one for me to try and read. Okay. So Catherine says, how can owners, especially those new to having pets, work out which veterinary practice to use? Well, that's easy. Obviously, right here. No, we'll go on. I am fortunate that a family member is an experienced registered veterinary nurse who works close enough to us to use them. I also try to use vets who cover their own out of hours, so I know who to call in an emergency. However, most have to go for trial and error with a lot of trust. Thank you for speaking to us all, Jenny.
Ooh, I think that's a really good question. So I think there are a couple of things that I would say for that. The first thing is, I think it's always good to find a practice that's relatively local to where you live, because if you do have an emergency, obviously you don't want to have to drive 45 minutes if you can avoid it. And nowadays we're very lucky there's a good coverage of veterinary practices, particularly in this sort of area. So I would definitely say stay relatively local if you can. The next thing I would say is a bit more difficult to achieve, but I would try and find somewhere where you kind of just get a nice feeling about it. It's a bit like picking a nursery for your children. I walked into the nursery I sent my children to and was like, yeah, I can see my children going here. And there wasn't any particular reason. I just liked the people. And I think it's important to find someone that you get on with, a practice that has an ethos that you get on with. And really the easiest way to do that is probably to phone up a few of the practices, say, you'd like to register with them, and do they do something like a free flea and worm check so you can just go down and meet the staff, or will they do a practice tour? And just go down and pick somewhere that you think sort of has a nice feeling. There are other things that you can look for. So the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons does what's called the Practice Standard Scheme, and it's not compulsory for vet practices to take part in this. Everyone thinks it is. Everyone thinks it's like Ofsted and we all get inspected, but we only get inspected if we ask them to inspect us and pay them to inspect us. But what that will tell you is that the practice has been inspected. If they're on the scheme, they should have the logo on their website, or you can ask them. And they've been inspected, and there's 3 different levels. So most practices will be the general practice level, and it just says that things like they've got decent equipment, they're following correct protocols, they're doing things sort of a little bit by the book. And following on from that, they've recently introduced something called the awards. So I always think of the Practice Standard Scheme as just being like, yes, you're okay, you're doing everything correctly. And the awards look a bit more at the ethos of the practice. And there's 6 areas. So the practice I'm at have recently been awarded 3 of the awards. And we went for the patient consulting ones. Yeah, it was horrible. I'm never doing it again. You literally have an inspector in all day looking over your shoulder and asking questions. And I was like, I am exhausted. And then my car broke down on the way home, and that was just a disaster. But so we went for the patient consultation services, and that's just looking at how your consulting room is run and what protocols you have in place to make sure all your vets are sort of thinking similar things. And we also went on the client service, which is a little bit about communication front of house. And lastly, we did the diagnostics. So it's looking at how much we can do in-house and how much we need to refer. So things like that will give you an idea of the sort of the standard the practice is working at. So looking at that. I think the thing I'm always say to be a bit cautious about is when you look at reviews for anything, because I'm a great one for like TripAdvisor and things. And problem is that sometimes the reviews aren't always as reflective as they could be, but I think they do give you an overview of the practice as well. So I guess it's just reading and asking people in the area what vets they use and what experiences they've had with them. So dog walkers are always good when you're allowed within 2 meters of them, but asking them which practices they've been to and how they found the practice. But I think most of all is if you're not happy, there are clients who get on with certain vets, and I always like working with clients who get on with me and like the way that I work. And I think that it's finding that someone you can have a real partnership with to help your animals, really.
I think that's a fabulous answer. Very, very rounded, and good to touch on the fact that you need to get on with your vet and trust them, because if you've got no trust, you've got nothing. Because you need to, when you're worried and your head can't think straight when your pet's sick, you just need to know that you can trust 100% what that vet's telling you. And so getting on with them is the biggest thing. So, you do have to just find that relationship. And yes, word of mouth is such a strong thing. So excellent advice, and really nice to go through all the practice standards and stuff like that as well, because a lot of people don't really know about those types of things. So it's all very interesting. Well done. So, and my mum says, well done with the interview, Donna and Jenny. So that was very kind. Thank you. Janetta, so I just had a quick read of your point there. I know you're saying you're trying to share it to your business page. I'm really sorry, I'm not techie. This was my very first interview I set up, and I can't tell you, I had to get Jenny on early because I was like, just in case it doesn't work. I don't know how to help there, but do know that you will be able to share this afterwards. So although they won't be able to ask questions live, look, we're contactable. You can still message me later and I can get hold of the answers. I know Jenny, it's all fine. So thank you for saying that's a great job. Most appreciated. Catherine says, brilliant, and thank you. And Janetta also says, totally agree with the trust thing, Jenny, and building a good bond with your vet, and gave a thumbs up. So very true. So Jenny, you've also mentioned how you are specialised in cats. and have a special interest in chronic pain. What do the rest of your team also bring to you and your whole team that you're able to give to your clients?
So my team here at the practice, I've got Isabel, one of my vet colleagues, who pretty much started here when we opened, because we opened about 2.5 years ago, and it was me and Isabel to start with. She is just over halfway through a certificate in small animal surgery. So she brings the sort of the cutting with the scalpels. I'm much more of a medic. I do a little bit. So she does a lot of the surgery. She's also very good at sort of questioning things. So she'll sort of come to me and say, I've read this paper. Do you think we should have a vet's meeting about this new paper and these advances in whatever it is, whether it's how we treat diarrhea and things like that. So she's got a really good inquiring mind. And then I've got Joe and Gemma, who are my slightly less experienced vets, but they bring so much up-to-date knowledge because they're cleverer than me, and they keep making me Google things because they're like, do you think it's this? I'm like, maybe. Okay, have a look. And they're fabulous. Joe's also got a bit of an interest in chronic pain and managing old arthritic dogs because she's got practically a pack of them at home, old, stiff dogs. So they're kind of our vet team. I've also got a vet here called Adele who's recently joined us, and she's got a whole wealth of experience working in the charity sector. So she worked for a large animal charity as a vet for about 10 years. So she's brought a whole new set of experience really to us about managing these perhaps on more of a budget as well. And so that's been really interesting. And then I have my fabulous nurses. So the head nurse here, Nicole, is currently doing a diploma in advanced veterinary nursing. And she's got a real interest in sort of managing geriatric cats particularly, and cat behaviour. And then I'll talk to Donna about Anna at some point, but Anna, one of my other nurses, has got a real interest in potentially things like physio and the chronic pain clinics. And Grace, who's our other nurse, loves nurse consulting. So they have a really good rounded between them. And we've also got Anne, who's one of our patient care assistants, who is a behaviourist. So I can ask all difficult behaviour questions to somebody else. So I'm like, you speak to Anne, she knows about these things. So we've got a really, really good experience level on the team and a real balance across. Joe, my vet colleague, really loves imaging, so ultrasound scanning. Gemma's really interested in cardiology. So we've all got different interest areas, and we all sort of try and pursue those so that we're all competent in everything, but we all have our areas of interest that we can bring a little bit to the rest of the team with.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, you've got a really rounded, bit from everywhere there, which is fabulous. So, yeah, well done. So, just a quick question. What do you love about physio?
What do I love about physio? What a good question. So I think what I love about it is it's the whole holistic approach, and it's very much how I like to practice anyway. It's not just come in for a consult, have some drugs that'll make your animal better or not, and if it doesn't, we'll try some different drugs. I think it's that being able to really look at the animal as a whole and realise that while I can prescribe drugs that might be really good painkillers or anti-inflammatories, I'm not going to do very much for a muscle spasm, or a tight muscle or a muscle knot, or a dog that has really poor muscling and poor range of movement. All the medication in the world is going to make it muscle up better, unless I give it some illegal steroids. But actually, they're all the things where you guys can help out and actually do the bits that I can't do. So it's really that team effort. But I think the other thing is the bond it can build between the client and the team of vets and physios, having that real team effort and everyone working together for the best of the animal, rather than that sort of thing. They come in, I give them some drugs, and they come back and approach. And actually the difference that we can make to some of these animals where you just think they're maybe a bit of a lost cause, but actually there's a huge amount that you can do when you bring in the physios as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That was a lovely thing to say. So going back to my people that are watching, Sharon says, thank you, Donna and Jenny, and lovely little hotty face. And Joanna says, they're all fabulous. We're lucky to have them as our vets. And Physio, my dog, says, hope it's okay to ask another question. Of course it is. What's the best way of a physio introducing themselves to vets who don't know them? What kind of info are vets most interested in knowing about the physio?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the best way is to first of all inquire if there's somebody in the practice who is interested in chronic pain, particularly, because I think if you can approach the right person, then you can build that bond a little bit better. Because within a practice, there's always going to be somebody who is more interested than perhaps their colleagues, and they're probably the people who are seeing most of the chronic pain cases. So I think first of all asking who the right person to speak to is. I think, Donna, when we first met, it was probably over your dog, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're actually
But I think it's then seeing if you can make an appointment to come in and sort of tell us what you can do, and discuss with us what needs we might have from you as well. But most of all, I think it's a bit like, how do you pick your vet? I pick my physio by people I like and I get on with, and I feel that I can talk to about cases without it being too formal, perhaps because I'm not very good at being formal. And so it's finding the right, and I've worked with quite a few physios over the years. I've worked with some really, really good ones. And I've worked with some really good ones, but there were ones I just struggled to, I guess, build a relationship with. And I find the outcomes are better when it's a team. It's not just, I refer you to this physio. Bye bye. Off you go to the physio. They'll make your dog better. It's when we're working together rather than just that. So I guess it's trying to find the right practice who works in a similar way that you do as a physio, so that you're going for a common goal in a sort of a similar way. But I definitely think making inquiries as to if they've got someone that's interested is a good way in. And we all like cake.
well done. That's great advice. So I'm trying to wrap this up, guys. So questions in quick because I'm worried Jenny's phone's going to run out of battery.
Yeah, running out of battery.
So really quick question from Chrissy. She says, do you still see a lot of guineas, and how competent are your other vets with them?
So yes, Chrissy, I do still see a lot of guineas. And yeah, my guys are really good. So Joe and Gemma in particular, we talk a lot about cases, so I've sort of tried to upskill them as well. And even if they see a guinea pig and I'm not around, the benefits of all this technology that me and Donna work so well is they can WhatsApp me a video or a photo of the guinea pig to get a bit of advice if they need to. We've also got a vet at our Beechwood practice in Woodley, Zoe, who's got a bit of an interest in rabbits and guinea pigs. And so me and her have been doing a little bit together to get her exposed to some sort of more interesting guinea pig cases, and she's really good as well. So my team are good.
Well done. So we've got Donna says, totally agree, Joanna. And Nikki says, great practice and wonderful support for local animal charities. And Wagabon's Pet Services says, thank you, ladies, for all you do. We are lucky to have you. Skipper and Magnus send sloppy kisses. Thank you.
Hello, we love them.
And
I think as well,
Anna
though,
says,
we're really lucky. We're really lucky that we've got some really fabulous clients at this practice, and it makes coming into work and seeing their animals an absolute pleasure, when most of our clients we probably think of as friends as much as clients, and we love it. It makes our job so much nicer, sometimes sadder, but easier on the whole. So thank you to all lovely clients as well.
Couldn't agree more, and I'll join you in saying that. Yes, thank you very much to all my lovely clients as well. It's it's amazing, and obviously so many of them are mutual clients, which is lovely. So yes, we're so happy. So Anna says Monty has struggled since a puppy health wise. We've not let him down, and neither of you two. After one of Monty's operations, his knee, Jenny recommended that we see you, Donna, me, with a view of helping him further. We were so scared of coming for the first appointment, but this is to say, don't fear it. You both work so well, and we are so thankful to you both. Kiss, kiss. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Anna. And Gemma says, thank you for helping. Oh, it's flying past me. Thank you for helping the few of our dogs from the Flyball Club. Top Dog Walking Services says, thank you, ladies. I have shared this to my page, so hoping to catch you next time you are live. Kerry says, thank you, Jenny, for all you and your team do, and to you, Donna, for this evening. Thank you. You're welcome. Glenda says, thank you. Chrissy says, great answers. Thank you. And I just want to take this 1 second to say, Jenny, what's your one tip for lockdown, getting us through lockdown? Go.
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I think my one tip is that we should all look out for each other, because one thing that's become really apparent to me talking to clients and also friends and family is it's really, really stressful, and everyone's got their own things going on. And I think it's really important just to check in with people, whether that's neighbours on the phone, whether it's friends, and just have that moment where you say to them, you know, are you guys okay? Are you coping okay? And give them a chance just to say they're not, really, because it's very difficult for a lot of people, particularly people who are vulnerable or scared or worried about money. So I think it's just be kind to everybody and give them a chance to open up and give them a vent if they need it.
Well done, Jenny. I want to give you a virtual hug in my tiny bit of screen that I can
Yeah.
point you out.
My
That was really
iPhone's so
kind
small.
to say, and I agree. I think, you know, we have got to be careful, look after minds, look after our neighbours, and make sure that we're all okay. So, well done. I've had more questions on when's your next broadcast, ladies. This has been fantastic, which is lovely. Now, listen, guys, this is the plan. Jenny's super busy, and I would love to get her on at another point, but I plan to do this with more vets. So please nominate your vets that you would like for me to do an interview, and I'm trying to do this with loads of different vets. And at some point in the future, I would love to get Jenny back on because she's been awesome, and it's been really great to learn new things like rock climbing stuff. So yeah, that's been really cool. So yeah, so nominate away, message me, let me know, then I can tell your vets and they'd be pressure that they've been nominated by their clients to come and have a chat with me. So that would be awesome. Just to add, Glenda says, love it. Great interview. Annabelle says, great interview. Really enjoyed listening to you both. Janet says, Whisper says, hi to you both. Thank you for both making her better. Yeah, Whisper's a little darling. And Gemma says, special thanks to our Let's in the lockdown. Okay, yep. Thank you. It's probably a typo. Pets, sorry, it's on the next line down. Sorry, Gemma. Special thanks to our pets in the lockdown, of course, of course. I mean, they are getting us through this, aren't they?
Through it, definitely.
And Rebecca says thank you. So I'm going to wrap this up. You can message me at any point, and obviously Jenny is a active vet care at the Bracken Veterinary Center, and available too. Thank you so much for speaking to me, Jenny. It's been an amazing interview. I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for your time. And take care. Stay safe. Everybody else watching, stay safe.
Stay safe. Stay indoors.
Yeah.
And
Bye
phone your
bye.
vets if you're worried. Thank you so much, Donnie. You've been absolutely fabulous, and we made the technology work. So you know, woo, lovely. And thanks to everyone for the questions. It's been really good.
It has, yeah, definitely. Well done. Bye bye.
Bye bye.